Good afternoon, everyone. This is Jared Rand, and welcome to the Global Guided Meditation Call for Saturday, February 15, after 3:15 p.m. Eastern. The biggest stumbling block on this planet for this civilization and for many other civilizations is there's one thing that creates all of this subterfuge, all these things that happen, and the people, the beings involved in interacting, and so on and so forth. It's ego mind. And it's interesting, on this planet, it's really not addressed a lot. It's not brought up a lot at all. And so the civilization continues to embrace the ego mind and conflict and disruption and pain and suffering. And the ego is very insecure. It looks for peace outside when it's always inside. And it is on an incessant journey to find something better. And you can see this as you watch the civilization and how many people are constantly locked into the ego mind. You can see by reactions, attitudes, and actual carrying out things, how you communicate with other people. And there are sections on the planet of people that are caught in a matrix. And the matrix is many different layers, as I've explained. And in that matrix, they believe of what they have put together that's what is. And, of course, when you look at this and you have all these different perspectives, you can see why the separation element, which is an illusion, is front and center. It's always a separation of countries, a separation of people. It's always separation. It seems like it's always an individuality of separation. And that, people say, well, if we're one, we don't have individuality. Well, sure you do. You create your own existence. You create your own destiny. You create your own future. And there was never really at all. And with ego mind, you can create many things. You can come up with all kinds of stuff that doesn't necessarily mean it's truthful. And through words that have been used throughout the centuries in our civilization, and not really knowing the root meaning of them, and defending one's ego is a constant. People have to defend themselves in their egos. And the egos usually are ruling and are the supreme masters of not just about everybody on the planet, at times. And then other times, people find peace within themselves because they choose to. It's kind of an incessant, it's like I said, it's a merry-go-round. And when in the ego mind, there isn't a lot of trust. In the ego mind, we don't trust ourselves, we don't trust anything. We become so cynical at times and so pessimistic that we infuse that energy and frequency and we direct it in a certain way. And it's like if you look at a lot of material and information, you become actually in it and not outside of it. Everything on this planet. And it doesn't mean that you're necessarily aware of this. You just get seduced into it. And the more that we choose to go inside and access the infinite divine consciousness that we truly are, the easier it is to naturally live from a state of trust. Ask yourself, and you ask yourself several times during the course of a day, where is the trust at for you, with you, right? What is your trust? And as you continue to explore your divine nature and you dive deeper into the truth of who and what you truly are, which is pure consciousness. That's who we are. We are pure consciousness, and we are housed, and on this planet called God, and we are housed in a material physical body, and we experience it. That's as simple as it gets. And when we choose to dive deeper into the truth of who and what we really are, truly are, we will start to feel greater waves of trust wash over and through us. It is virtually impossible for us to worry when we remember that we are an infinite and timeless being, because we know that nothing outside of us can hurt or impact us negatively. And the reason that is because it doesn't affect us in the true sense of the word. When you come across negativity and stuff, it doesn't affect us. It isn't even there. And what people say and think and do, it isn't even there. But a lot of us find ourselves protecting our ego and falling into a negative pattern. I don't think any of us are exempt from it. I think we've all done it more than once in this lifetime alone. And the most primal parts of ourselves always trusted that was what was happening and knew that everything was perfect. It was only when our ego mind started claiming the kingdom, so to speak, that we started falling prey to the illusions of worry, stress, fear, anxiety. Right now, in our life, what is the thing that we spend the most time worrying about, stressing about? And once you identify it, you can just shift. You shift from that issue to completely trusting. Each time we find ourselves being concerned about something, about this particular issue, simply notice where this experience is occurring. We know, right? Between our ears. And when we relax and notice how perfect the present moment is and how there is nearly nothing to worry about. It's a habit, like, we all get into habits. Yet, we say we're aware of it, the stress factors, and we don't buy into it. It's one of the most overlooked destructive habits that leak our precious energy away from enjoying life and living out our mission. What causes this to happen in the first place is that the mindset, it simply lacks mental discipline, intention, and focus. And if you cannot contain it, and you basically contain it, like if you've got a bunch of wild horses that they're in a corral, and you have to figure out a way to contain those horses, so you put them in a corral. But what happens when you let them out of the corral? They run everywhere. They're like our thoughts. Now, our thoughts say, you picture those horses running everywhere. They come out of the corral and they're just running everywhere, every which way. And what we do is we follow those thoughts. Those horses are our thoughts. And so that's the whole point. We choose to follow them. And when the reins on the mind are too tight or too loose, this herd of thoughts will not listen and trample all over you. They'll stomp all over your feelings, your desires, relationships, and leave your life dreams far behind in the dust. And the only way is to lasso the entire herd and teach them to become more conscious. The golden key to consciousness is trust. A lot of people have a lot of issues with trust. They've been burned here and they've been burned there, and they've been lied to and everything, and so they begin not to trust themselves. So therefore, they don't trust anybody else. And whenever they look at a situation, they look at it from a distrusting point of view. Which does what? Well, where attention goes, energy flows. And what do? You focus. We are all retraining ourselves. We really are. We are training by learning about ourselves, learning about who and what we are. And it's a choice. We choose to do this. Not temporarily, but permanently. And we choose this. We choose for ourselves that we want to know the other side of the coin. We've been on the one side of the coin for a long time. And the other side is what? Higher spiritual existence, deep eternal trust, love, faith, confidence, all coming from the heart-mind. Because ego-mind is the root, even though it's an illusion, is the root instigator of all conflict on this planet. It is the root instigator of everything. Pain, suffering, happiness, joy, bliss, but it's all short-lived and temporary. Frustration, disappointment. But it's interesting how the civilization views that, but if you step out of it, you choose to step out of that rat race, and you watch it all. And you're not judging it. You're just taking it in, watching it all. And you begin to see the pattern of this civilization, of the ego mind mastering the civilization day to day, week to week, month to month, year to year, generation to generation, century to century, on and on and on. You can go back billions of years on this planet and check out other civilizations that were here and are gone. And when you look at them, you will see the same areas of the ego mind master of the civilization. Why do we do the things we do? And when we start to go within, we choose to go within, we start to comprehend that it's the ego mind that I am here to master. Not for it to continually master me through this life, and then I leave this body, and there are many things I wanted to do but didn't do because I was so consumed with the ego mind. And that's what happens. And do we do this on purpose? No, we don't. It's not like, I'm gonna be Mr. or Miss Ego Mind. It's what we do. It's how we get seduced into ego mind. What would you do, for instance, if you woke up and it was different? When you woke up, you go, this is strange, this is really different, and the world is different, and everything else is different, and there aren't a lot of people around. And then you say to yourself, is this real, or was how I was before real? It's an interesting question, right? Because of the fact that, what if you were to find out that you were living your life in your mind, and the ego mind was the master of that construct, right? So you were living, similar like the Matrix, you were living your life, but yet you really weren't. Isn't that wild? And then you begin to realize that you're in this cycle forever until you figure out about who and what you are, that you just keep coming back over and over and over again. And you have your memories wiped every time, and then you live that life, you leave it, and you do it over and over again. Now, when you realize that we've been doing this, and some people say, oh no, we've only had 20 or 30 lifetimes. We are eternal. We are part of the collective consciousness. So how do the spirits become mobile from the one? Well, they're facets, different pieces of the one, each one experiencing physical material life or other forms of life. That's how it works. And there are always new facets that are, let's just say, dropping off of the one, but still completely connected, and experiencing physical material life and other forms. And so there's literally trillions and trillions and trillions of those particles that make up the one. If you look at your body, and you look at the trillions of cells within your body, okay? It's kind of like that. Each one of those cells appears to be separate from the body, right? When in actuality, they are all one, operating as one, but also believing that they're separate. And that's like us. And this vast expanse, this existence and beyond existence, this pure consciousness and beyond pure consciousness, we are simply experiencing as one, but yet appearing separately. And it is exciting, and it's interesting, and it's challenging, and it's rewarding, and it's got all the flavors that you could possibly wish for. But to come out of that matrix takes a lot of courage, a lot of fortitude. It isn't hard work. It's a commitment to oneself to move beyond physical material life. Not meaning that you're leaving it alone, but you move beyond it. You focus on your actual spiritual essence, and then you become the steerer of the wheel in that material physical life. See, right now, we are being steered by an illusion known as ego mind. We are not steering it, so to speak. We still are creating things by our attention to other things that basically creates our lives and our life experiences. Usually that's done unconsciously or subconsciously. We really aren't completely aware that we're doing that because of all of the information that has been laid out for this civilization for a very long time. It's interesting. When you're programmed with only a certain amount of information, that's all you're going to know. Till you step out of that, you make the decision. It reminds me of something that just keeps going in a circle or a hamster wheel. Well, you can look around and you can see the scenery as you're on that hamster wheel, but then you realize you're not moving anywhere. But you're still experiencing life. You're still creating things, but you're really not moving anywhere. That's the illusion, okay? After so many millions of years, wouldn't you believe that this civilization would have come full circle? That we would not be contained by time elements? That we would not be contained by ego mind? That we would not be contained by judgmental circumstances? that we would move beyond that in a higher vibrational frequency by choice, so that we would not be conflicted on a continual basis, but at the same time rationalizing through the ego mind that we aren't conflicted, trying to convince ourselves that we're free of that conflict when actually we're heavily steeped into it. So when things seem kind of different, right? We all get that feeling where you kind of go, something's just not fitting here right. And you get curious. So you go within and you start to discover that it's the ego mind. And as you become more aware of that, the way you learn to master the ego mind is to leave it alone, which is a real challenge for many of us. To leave it alone. Now one might say, well, that could get really tiresome because we have all these thoughts running through our minds, thousands and thousands, and then replaying every day. And then you discover those aren't your thoughts, so you just don't listen to them. You just let them pass by, and you get to the point where they're all passing by. But then the ego mind says to you, you're missing out. You're missing out. You should entertain those thoughts. Those are your thoughts. And you say to yourself, no, they're not. They're not my thoughts. My thoughts I create, and I'm consciously aware of the thoughts I send out, and I usually send those thoughts out when I'm in meditation. During the course of the day, we send all kinds of thoughts out, but we aren't aware that we're doing it. You see, ego mind comes in with a thought, other people's thoughts. And so the other people's thoughts come in, and then we embrace those thoughts as our own, and then we relive those thoughts. Where attention goes, energy flows. So we bring it in. So one might say, well, you mean to tell me with billions and billions throughout the ages coming and going on this planet, that those thoughts are swimming around here? Yes. They don't take them with them. Can you see? You begin to see the big picture. At first it's foggy. You can't really make it out, so you move up closer and it starts to get clearer. And then the fog starts to dissipate. And then the whole picture starts to come into view. And you begin to realize is that the only way that I'm going to be able to master the ego mind and my thoughts is by practicing being in the now and practicing being in the heart mind. It's the only way. Throughout the ages, all different gurus have tried different ways. This is the only way. That's organic, that we learn and experience. And so then you begin to realize that, hey, so I'm the one that's pulling this wagon. Yeah. You're the horses that are pulling the wagon. It's your decision on where that wagon's going to go. Nobody else's. And at times, the horses need a drink of water, or they need food. And so you have these break periods where, they get re-energized and then they continue to go. And it's not like a wild race down the path. It is kind of a leisurely stroll. And you're looking around and enjoying everything around you. And you're really not interested in the destination. You're really interested in the journey. You're interested in along the way. And you're kicked back, and everything is perfect. Exactly the way it is. And why do we do that? It removes us from being fixated with the ego mind. That's why. The true wild freedom that we truly are within these bodies will start to shine once we master the ego mind. And just somebody could say, well, the whole civilization is ego mind free. Then we wouldn't be experiencing what we're experiencing right now. Would we? Right? Where does greed come from? Ego mind. Where does aggressive confrontation, stress and anxiety come from? Ego mind. Where does pain and suffering come from? Ego mind. Ego mind emits those thoughts. And you start focusing on things that you don't care to focus on, but you're focused on them because the master is the ego mind and you're focused on them. So as you focus, where attention goes, energy flows. So you might start to feel weird or sick or something, and then and what happens? The ego mind generates all these different thoughts. And a lot of them, most of them, they're not real positive. Because we do have a tendency to sink in the lower vibrational frequencies when things take place. Things happen that we don't, we're not saying, okay, this is going to happen. It just occurs. And as it occurs, we look for the negative. You ever notice that? None of us are exempt from it. We look for, it's like we gravitate to negative things. Negative things about our body. What's that pain about? Oh my gosh, what is that? And then what happens? Then we go to the doctor, and then the doctor starts doing tests, and the doctor says, well, you have this, this, and this. Oh my gosh, what am I going to do? And then the doctor says, well, we'll run some more tests, and then we'll give you some different medications. You see how it works? Now, one would believe that, oh, I'm not creating that. That's just part of life and things coming in. You sit there and go, but I am creating it. Because where my attention is, where it goes, energy flows. Now, if I were to focus on the fact and say, this is where confidence, trust, and faith in oneself come from. This is how impactful, where are we at with ourselves, with our self-trust, self-faith, and self-confidence. Are we at 100%? Or are we just kind of dragging along? But when you have that faith, that confidence and trust in oneself, you choose the lighter way. You say, the body is talking to me. Body, let's, God as I am in this, within you, let's heal that. Let's make sure that heals. See, and you see where it's connected? You see how it's all connected? It's like this big web, okay? Or it's like this foundation. If you pull the wrong block out, we all know what happens. It all collapses. But if you're very careful and you pull certain blocks out, it stands. It doesn't collapse. So with the ego mind, and most of us not knowing, totally oblivious, these things occur because we manifest them. All of it. Every single bit of it. Even the things that we can't anywhere near realize, that one little thought that slipped out, right, manifested something. These are little thoughts that we just don't really put much attention to. We send those thoughts out and we move on. And those are little things that come in to our lives, and we say, where did that come from? Wow, that's strange. Why is that there? And we don't recall that we sent that quick thought out because we did it so quickly and we had no attachment, no expectations with it, and so it went out there and it manifested. It's like you're driving your vehicle, you're traveling along in your vehicle, and it's late at night, and you see the monitor on your fuel, and the monitor is real low. And you look at that, and you're a ways away from your destination. You didn't think about it. You were in such a hurry to get this, that you forgot. So you're going, where am I going to send my energy? Where am I going to focus things? This is really crucial, say, because the ego mind, you're feeling not really happy because you don't care to be stranded in the middle of nowhere and be out of fuel. So, but most of us will worry about that as we're traveling along the road, and we'll say, I wonder how much I have left. Am I going to get to my destination? So we start focusing on it. And we focus on it in not a positive way. Then on the flip side, we say, nope, I'll have plenty. I'll get to where I need to get. Or I'll come across the fuel station and I'll go in and it'll be fine. And you do that from the heart mind, and about 99.999% of the time, that's exactly what happens. Now, it may not happen exactly as you portray it, but it happens. And you go, see? Now, on the other hand, the other one of us is stranded in the middle of nowhere out of fuel because they focused on running out of fuel. And they did. You see the intricacy of that. Seems like a simple decision, right? Run low on fuel. I'm going to focus on, there'll be a gas station. There'll be a fuel station. And I'll be able to fill up and be fine. Okay? Or I'll have enough to get to my destination. Either way, but you focus on it and you don't doubt it. And you just keep going along. Everything we need is within us. In this long journey, this eternal journey, everything we will ever need is within us. There's nothing outside of us that we need to look for. It's all within. But we've been directed and guided by ego mind to look outside of ourselves. The God in the heavens. It's all separate, see? You ever notice that? Everything's separate from us. So we look up to pray to something. Always look up. All right? There's always a place that we go to. See? Heaven is a place you go to. Instead of realizing is that you, the God that you are the heaven. You see how this has been done? And it isn't a simple click because we have been experiencing this for generations and for lifetimes. So it's pretty much automatic for us to fall into it. Until some of us get to the point where we say, I'm going to go within and I'm going to find out who and what I really am. And I focus on higher vibrational frequency of deep eternal love for oneself. Kindness for oneself. If you are not happy in this life, do you really believe that anybody else is going to be happy with you? No, they're not. It may be a little bit here, a little bit teased there and there, but fully and truly, they will not because you are not. You know, the old statement, the old saying that we use at times, what you do to others, you do unto yourself. That's exactly true. Why would we cause harm to ourselves? Well, that's separate, we're separate. I'm not causing harm to myself, I'm causing harm to that being over there that did me wrong. And in actuality, it's ourselves. When someone gets really, really, really blows their top, let's say, right? It's angry. What is really happening there? Well, it is a good way to look at it from the standpoint of love under pressure. And what we do is we don't identify that much, but we say, they get really angry. It takes a while to recover from it. But when you deeply, eternally love yourself, that's not there. Okay? Deep, eternal love for oneself is huge. And what does it involve? It involves reprogramming ourselves from start, dumping the hard drive, and then focusing on higher vibrational frequencies of deep eternal love for oneself, confidence, trust, faith. That then connects to the universe, who is absolutely, unquestionably your best friend. And then from that, you build heart-mindedness within. And you look at the ego mind as a teacher, so that you're the student to begin with the ego mind. And then as you go along on your journey within, you become the teacher of it. It no longer is your teacher. See, the roles switch. And as you become the teacher of the ego mind, you begin to master it. And then it starts to loosen its grip. And it starts to go in the back of the room and sit down. And then eventually it finds peace through you, and you coming from the heart mind. And all in all, this starts you on your journey of super high vibrational frequencies of deep eternal love with oneself and all things, which then affects all the vibrational frequencies outside of you. See what happens? It's connected. And it's a cascading effect, because it continues to thrive and expand, rather than it becomes stymied and stuck. Big difference. Thrive and expand, or become stymied and stuck. Stymied and stuck with the ego mind. Thrive and expand through heart mind. Spiritually. When you look at everything on this planet that's going on right now and throughout all the ages, the one key element is for the civilization to embrace its own spirituality. That is the evolution on this planet. It isn't technology. It isn't any of that stuff. It isn't AI. It's way beyond that. That's identifying ourselves and embracing ourselves as the gods that we are, the pure consciousness, and all that there is, ever has been, ever will be, ever beyond, and forever. That's the real evolution. All this other stuff is distraction. That's all it is, distraction. And it is our choice, each and every one of us, to determine, which way do I choose to go? It doesn't mean that any way you choose to go is wrong, okay? It's a different experience. But it falls on every one of us to decide that for ourselves. You're not going to learn it from some guru in a cave. You're not. That's not going to happen. You could do that, but you'll find that you're still undecided. And when you deeply, eternally love yourself exactly the way you are, exactly in the perfect moment that you're in, then that door opens. And slowly but surely, the ego mind fades away. And then we become heart-minded, and we are masters of our thoughts, and we direct our thoughts exactly how we want them to go. It's different. Rather than them directing you, you're directing them. And this is how we find out that we are omnipotently powerful, supreme, manifesting, abundant beings that do not die. Join in meditation. I'll return to close us out. Take an easy and slow breath in through the nose. And an easy and a slow breath out from the mouth. Remain still, relaxed into your body. Focus on your breath rising and falling. Finding inner peace, being alone, is the gateway to freedom and is the foundation of every spiritual awakening. I invite you to take this weekend to be completely alone and relax. Find a very quiet, peaceful place where you can simply be yourself and discover a deeper state of peace inside. Eat healthy foods, take a nap, meditate, go for a walk every day. Learn the sacred art of relaxation. Rest in your innermost being and enjoy the experience. Take this with you for the rest of the day into the evening and night and the following morning. We'll return here Sunday, February 16, 2025, after 3:15 p.m. Eastern to continue our global guided meditation call. Be gentle, kind, generous, and humble with yourself at all times. Be in the highest of the highest high, deepest of the deepest deepest, purest of the purest purest, eternal gratitude at all times. No matter what's happening within you or outside of you. Open your heart and allow the magic to flow in.